And now, please give a warm DU welcome to the Cleo Parker Robinson Dance Ensemble.
Welcome to the 150th third Founders Day Gala, and you all look fantastic out there. And this is the Cleo Parker Robinson Dance Ensemble, our 46th year, and we love DU. Feel like my daddy is right here, loving you all. We want to dance with you, and I know we have a dancer in the house. Our Chancellor, yes, she's going to get down. Now, this is Mardi Gras time, so I want everybody just to let your hair down. And we're getting ready to do a Mardi Gras in Denver, even a few days late. That's right, we're going to do it. Here we go. Let's hit the music, and let's celebrate this great institution. We love you. Let's hit it. Let's go. Hey, everybody stand if you want to. Here we go. Here we go. Hey. There we go, our Chancellor. Look at it now. All right. Oh, look at that. Oh, with another Ray Robinson. Do it, y'all. We got a lot of party to do tonight. Just the beginning. Oh, are you ready to party? Yeah.
I'm ready to
Oh, yeah. Are you ready to party? Oh, yeah. Are you ready to party? Oh, work it out, 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 work it out. In this great school ballroom, let's have a ball. Let's thank our Chancellor. Is she the best? Give her a great big hand. We love her. Oh. Great, thank you. I love it. Give them a lot of love. Hey, oh. Are you ready to party? Hey, oh. All right, you. Let's do it. Hey, oh. Are you ready to party? Have a great night, you all. We love you.
Welcome to a place where passion meets purpose, a university that even in its infancy was the intellectual center of an entrepreneurial city on the rise. We know what it means to push the boundaries of innovation, to engage deeply in exploring the pressing problems of our time, and to foster achievement in an accelerated world. Inside these copper-clad buildings, we transform creativity into action. On campus and around the world, we challenge the limits of our imagination, explore the future of science, and perfect our artistic craft. We develop grit, strong character, and the collaborative spirit that produces national leaders and national champions. Daily, we view the majestic Rocky Mountains, but our impact reaches beyond borders. A community of thinkers and doers. We create, expand, and share knowledge in service to a global community. Join us as we pioneer higher education with higher impact.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Armin Afsahi, Vice Chancellor for Advancement.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know, it's Mardi Gras, it's Founders, a dancing Chancellor. Hi, Mike. Welcome to our 2017 Founders Celebration. This is one of the very special nights of the year where we gather, we celebrate, we honor our past, and we look forward to a glorious future for our great university. Thank you for being with us tonight. You don't need to clap. I'll tell you when to clap. It's very awkward when you're like waiting for applause and you don't get it, so I will cue you, don't worry. We have a really special program planned tonight. We're going to honor 3 amazing individuals who are as much DU as DU is them. With us tonight also, we have 17 of our former honorees that have been celebrated through the decades, whose leadership, philanthropy, and service really is the DNA of our institution. So I know you have your boutonnieres, you're recognized, but could I ask all of our former honorees to please rise and let us honor you tonight? Thank you for being with us. The three of you here are going to get some extra credit because I'm going to ask you to stand up again. But last year, Chancellor Chop started a new tradition by providing a new honor, the Founders Medal. And our inaugural recipients were Bob and Judy Newman and Don and Sue Sturm. I know Sue's not with us tonight, but Don, thank you for being here. Bob and Judy, we'd like you to get up again. That's 10 calories, so come on. Thank you. And I don't think she needs any introductions because you just saw her dancing up here, but Chancellor Chop, our 18th Chancellor, that's right. Your energy, your passion, your laser-focused vision for DU and all that we can be and all higher education can be just enthralls us. So happy Founders, Chancellor. This is a great night for you as well. You may be wondering why we're not on campus. But it feels like home here. DCPA is home to DU. Some of you may not know that we're just a few feet away from the parking garage on 14th and Arapahoe, where those of you that don't take Uber and may have driven and parked there, that is actually the original site of the first building that was established for our university. 1864, one building. So our journey really began here. And that's why this makes it very special for us to be here. And throughout the decades, we've really enjoyed the leadership and the stewardship of so many visionaries. But that includes especially our Board of Trustees. They have guided us through our highs and through our lows. And that's why it gives me great honor tonight to introduce you and have you help me welcome Doug Scrivener, who currently chairs our Board of Trustees. Doug's impact and Mary's impact are felt throughout the campus. Their friendship, their generosity. Doug is actually teaching a course this year, so now I can say Doug's teachings is also very much part of who they are and how much they love this institution. So if I can ask you to help me welcome Doug Scrivener, our current chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Armin, and good evening. It is certainly a thrill for Mary and me to be here this evening, celebrating our university and the incredible legacy of leaders who have brought us to where we are today. So thank you all for joining us tonight. When we speak of the DU pantheon of leaders, we speak of many of you here in this room. In so many different ways, each of you here this evening has made significant contributions to where we are as a university today. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I offer you our deepest thanks, gratitude, and appreciation. We have been enjoying our 2017 Founders Celebration for the last several days. The Founders Fest yesterday was a wonderful event for the campus community, and last night we heard from some of our stellar faculty at the Founders Forum. More lectures were held today that highlighted some fascinating events and issues in our history. And as we celebrate together tonight, our students are having their own party on campus, the second annual Founders Formal. These celebrations are guided by a new vision of how we celebrate our history and who we are as a university, and have been carried out by hundreds of dedicated staff and incredible volunteers. Many of our students are here tonight, both as guests and as ambassadors. Would you join me in thanking everyone who's been involved in making this year's celebration such a tremendous success? We gather tonight to celebrate our past, to honor all of those whose leadership has brought us to this moment. We also gather to contemplate an exciting vision for our future, to dream of the ways that together we will create the DU that future generations will know and love as we do. As we acknowledge our past and our future, we also celebrate our present. Tonight, we honor individuals whose global impact, transformative leadership, and inspired philanthropy has made and are making an unmistakable imprint on our university and on our world. You will hear much more about them tonight, but as Armin said, tonight's honorees are Ralph and Trish Nagel and Dr. Condoleezza Rice. Congratulations to all three of you. And if I may, I would also like to recognize just one more of the many, many special people who are here tonight. Last Saturday, over 500 of us celebrated the 50th year teaching at DU by Vednanda, who is at the head table tonight with his wife, Catherine. Please join me in thanking in thanking my dear friend Ved for all he has done for this university and the Sturm College of Law. So now I invite you to enjoy the company of those seated near you as we continue with dinner. The program will commence shortly. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's an internationally acclaimed bassoon soloist. His albums have been nominated for 2 Grammys, and he's a professor at the Lamont School of Music. Please welcome Martin Kuskman, accompanied by Heidi Leithwood.
Hello, I won't take much of your time. It'll be 6 minutes, and probably for most of you, first time that you see solo bassoonist on stage. So enjoy it, or go back to eating. I've been in Denver now with my family for 7 months, and I have to say that I've been all over the world in different music schools and universities, and Lamont School of Music and the Newman Center is one of the finest buildings anywhere in the world. And I'm not just saying it, it's the truth, and it really was what really pulled me in, and I'm not planning living in years. I will be doing a couple selections from my upcoming album. One is Argentinian, and the other one is Brazilian. Turned around, Brazilian and then Argentinian. One is a solo waltz by Mignone, and the other one is Astor Piazzolla's Oblivion.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the University of Denver's 18th Chancellor, Dr. Rebecca Chop.
Thank you. Wasn't that amazing? The DU faculty. So Professor Kuskman is an assistant professor of the bassoon and chamber music in our Lamont School of Music. He's an Estonian-born bassoon virtuoso, as we saw, with 2 Grammy-nominated albums. He's known for pushing the boundaries for new artistic and technical possibilities. He has a reputation as being one of the leading solo instrumentalists in the world today. He's just a stellar example of the DU faculty. So I think everyone in this room knows that the faculty are really the heart and soul. They're the kind of engine of DU, of any great university. And I want to ask all the faculty in the room to stand up. We want to thank you. So this is my 3rd year at DU. And it's kind of in your 3rd year as a chancellor or president that you feel like you kind of know the place. And I feel so fortunate. I mean, we are fortunate to live in this city, to look out every day and see these mountains, to be in a state where people still talk to one another, to be in a state that's growing and moving forward. And at DU, we are blessed with an amazing faculty. 2,500 interviews in our strategic planning process. And 2,499 of them said the best thing about the university was that faculty-student engagement. And we are blessed with alumni who are builders and leaders in their community, who work in law and business and social work and psychology and education, finance, the arts, you name it, always building toward the future. We are blessed with staff who are so dedicated. I can't tell you the hours that our staff work. So I've been in a few institutions, and usually it's me and one other person up at 3 a.m. emailing. You can't imagine the numbers of conversation partners I have at 3 a.m. at DU. People are very dedicated. But I also want to lift up the many in the room tonight who are just friends of the university, who live in Denver, and who understand the importance of a research university that produces knowledge for the future and trains Denver leaders. Without you, the friends of this university, DU would not be what it is. And I also want to recognize the students. I love our students. You know, our students, you walk across campus, they look you in the eye, They try to sell you Girl Scout cookies or t-shirts or whatever. They are engaged. They're engaged. They're builders. They're thinking about how to prepare the future. We are blessed with this university. You know, third year, I'm a little philosophical, and I think about what is DU's DNA. There's a unique tradition in American higher education, and quite frankly, not that many universities express it. It's a tradition that is called pragmatic education. It goes back to Ben Franklin. It's not the tradition about the ivory tower that never talks to the world, or the city on the hill that just wants to be a beacon. Franklin believed that education should be about doing and learning. Franklin refused to accept a division between practice and theory. He wanted people to do good and to learn to be critical thinkers. He believed that leaders would be created in education by hands-on problem solving. We are Franklin's dream. We are that pragmatic university that knows that the best education comes by bringing students here and teaching them how to solve the problems of tomorrow. We have a lot to brag about, but indulge me for a minute in a moment of pioneer pride. So here we are, just a small university tucked up against the Rockies. We're number one in the class. Number one in lacrosse. Yeah, we're number one in lacrosse. We are number one in hockey. We are always number one in skiing. And a couple weeks ago, we were 14 in gymnastics, and now we are number 7. Oh my God, our gymnastics team. If you have not come and seen them, please come and see them. We have a freshman, scored 9.950 in her first meet and a 10 in her second. Our women's lacrosse team beat Stanford. And if Peg was here tonight, she would tell you, oh yeah, that's good, but let me tell you about the academics, because they also are stellar, these athletes. So they're athletes, and good grief, I admire all that they do. But they are, for me, also a symbol, an important symbol of who DU is. Because we are a small school. We are not a wealthy school. We are in Denver. We're not Stanford or Harvard. And yet, we punch above our weight. We drive. We are dedicated. We succeed. And tonight is really about celebrating the people, the founders, who teach us these lessons, who teach us about dedication, grit, perseverance, setting your sights, taking risk. We are proud tonight to celebrate 3 founders. Ralph and Trish Nagel have long believed in the importance of dreaming, of taking risks, of perseverance, and of prevailing. Through their philanthropy and civic leadership, they have lifted thousands of lives and provided hope and inspiration to all. They see the world in bright lights, and they give confidence to others that they can live into that dream. Dr. Condoleezza Rice has devoted her life to public service and democracy. Her service to our country and to our world, as well as her continued leadership of higher education, makes her one of our most important leaders, continues to have an impact on our life, continues to remind us of what a young student at DU can accomplish. So as we celebrate Ralph and Trish and Condi tonight, we recognize that Denver and the world depend upon one thing that Ben Franklin is often quoted as saying: the best investment is the investment in education. It pays the best interest. So this is what Ralph and Trish and Condi so uniquely realize, that investment in education pays the best interest because it pays forward. It pays our future. And that's what I see. DU has an innovative spirit that will shape the future. It will shape entrepreneurship and creativity in the fields that we know in Denver and beyond Denver. DU is going to invest in our neighborhood. It's going to invest in our city and state. It's going to invest in our world, and it will lead. We invest in our teaching of mission and research because we know, as Ralph and Trish have taught us, and as Condi shows us, the best investment is the investment in the students. We will always invest in our student experience. So we see a Colorado and we see a world transformed. We see a university that opens its doors to the young people. The young people that Trish works with, the young people that she challenges to think critically, to think about leadership, to lift their sights. We see a world in which Ralph's lesson. Ralph imagines the world in his painting and in his entrepreneurship and in his ideas. And we see a world, I hope with lots of Condis, right? Young adults who dedicate themselves to a world of peace, to a world where democracy flourishes, to a world in which we can all live with a yes. This is what DU is about. More than ever, DU, in light of Trish and Ralph and Condi, must invest in our future and understand that the interest any of us can have in this room is the interest that those young people will pay, and they will pay it forward. So tonight we honor Trish and Ralph and Condi for the ways they have invested in DU, in Denver, and in the entire world. So from our hearts, we offer you our gratitude, Trish and Ralph and Condi. You set a bar for all of us. You are our first in lacrosse and in hockey and in all the other ways. You are most importantly our first in seeing the future. So let us give them applause, our honorees. So I now have a great pleasure and an incredible honor of introducing someone who in many ways started us on this journey, who has built this university, someone very dear to Denver and to DCPA and to our community. I have the honor of introducing Dan Ritchie. Dan's lasting impact is seen everywhere. I'm so grateful of his stewardship and counsel, and I'm so appreciative of his friendship, and I'm so aware that Dan is standing next to me saying, don't go on and on. It's not about me. It's about Denver. It's about DU. And so I'm very humbled and proud to give you Dan Ritchie.
Following her, goodness. But First, I would just like to say thank you to her and everybody in this room. DU continues to get better and better and better, so much better than what I remember. And even though I thought it was pretty darn good then. But the folks in this room are the folks who've done it, and I just want to first say thank you to you. The other reason I'm up here is just to say a few words about Ralph and Trish Nagel, because I've seen an early cut of the film, which is a good film, but I don't think it quite does justice to those two people. So I just want to add a few words to supplement, if you will, what you'll see up there, and I'll not be more than 3 or 4 minutes at the most. At any rate, the buildings on the campus that they have enabled, principally you think of the hall named for them, the residence hall, and the art studio next to the Ritchie Center, and they're really magnificent. But unlike most folks, including me, who have contributed toward the physical plant of the university, what you probably didn't know, and is not in the film, or at least there wasn't in the edition I saw, to know that Ralph has a master's degree in architecture, and he also from Washington University in St. Louis, but he also has a master's degree in city planning and in urban development, which you wouldn't expect. But it's one of the reasons those buildings are so really terrific. I mean, they're not just great buildings. They have so many small touches and nice things that none of the rest of us would have thought of. Anyway, so I wanted to say that first. Then they show in the film Ralph painting, but they don't show us any of his art. He is a juried art medalist, which means he's really good, like our lacrosse team and our hockey team. It's really first rate. It really is world class, and somehow I'd like to see some of it more prominent on campus, and because it really is wonderful. I mean, it's really not just good art, it's great art, and it's magic, sort of. Anyway, so I wanted to say that. The next thing, and almost the final thing I want to say, is they're such caring people. You'll see some of this here, but there's so much that they did quietly that nobody knows anything about. Major stuff to help young people who need helping. And one thing I'd like to tell you that I doubt if anybody in this room other than they know, there was a book called Just Like Us, written by Helen Thorpe, about, you all know, thank you, yes, I'll do that too. It's about 4 young Latinas, 2 of whom are legal citizens, 2 of whom are not. They were brought into this country as children. And Ralph and Trish supported what you don't see here in the book because he didn't want it known, or didn't read the book. And also this book, by the way, was made into a play at the DCPA here, a very successful play. It's a great story. Yes, thank you. Yes, I can do that too. It's a great story about the differences between the two, which otherwise are very much alike, who raised the same way, the same age, the same education. It's really touching. But what you don't know is that those young women were supported, and the reason they were able to go to college was because of Ralph and Trish Nagel. And and there were, I believe, he gave over 100 scholarships to young people in that situation who are really, you can't imagine what the life, if you hadn't seen the play or read the book, what your life is like if you're not a citizen and you're illegal. And it's through no fault of yours. Anyway, it was really touching, but you'll see some other examples of what they have done for many young people, and Trish here at the DCPA has sent young kids to Broadway shows, and kids who really benefited from it. And finally, I'd like to close with just saying a few words about Trish. Trish is very strong, very determined, very smart, and she's wonderful. Thank you.
We felt it was important, those 4 words, because each one of them could be a stopping point. So making things happen, we felt, required all 4 of those elements: dream, take risk, persevere, and prevail. So it was intended to be a message of opportunity and a message of challenge.
If the dream is really valuable, it becomes a reality because others will join in.
We have very shared core values. And the other observation I would make is that we give each other room to grow our talents.
You gotta say, how does a person become a painter? And you become a painter by picking up a brush. And nobody knows how to, you can't study it, you have to eventually feel it.
Ralph and Trish Nagel are the kind of people that believe in the American dream, and that is that every person has the right to succeed. And if you work hard, Ralph and Trish are the kind of people that will smile, they'll come along your side, they'll put their arms around you, and they will invest heavily in you.
Ralph and Trish are very unselfish. I think they truly believe that in order for our country to be great, there has to be a certain desire to want to give.
Well, the ACE Scholarship Program aims at providing school choice. Through the ACE Scholarship, students are able to choose so that they can get the best education possible.
To consider the things that I would really respect with Trish and Ralph, it will be their absolute dedication to their principles and objectives, to the things that they believe in and the ones that they want to achieve.
And one of the beautiful things about Ralph is Ralph doesn't write you a check. Ralph sits down and finds out who you are, what you're doing, what you're trying to accomplish. And in doing so, you realize that what you thought you could do, you can actually do times 2 or 3 or 4 because of the talent that Ralph brings to the relationship.
I think one of the unique things about Ralph and Trish is they've developed a company. They were very successful with it. That was never the underlying premise. That yes, we need to be successful, but at the same time we need to provide something that has meaning to people.
If you have a dream and you're not willing to make outbound calls, it just becomes an echo in your head.
Well, the Nagel Scholarship is a scholarship that was initially just awarded to undocumented students. Although I was a finalist, I did not ultimately receive that scholarship through the formal process. I went back into my high school counselor's office, and one idea we came up with was contacting Mr. Nagel himself. Mr. Nagel very gladly and very promptly responded back and said, yeah, we can meet. And then after that, he weighed, the options and ultimately, I think, made a fair determination, although I'm biased, in granting me that scholarship.
I think one of the things I really enjoy seeing is people reconsider who they are. And I'm very pleased with the energy of the young members of the student body. Is much more curious outside of formal curriculum structures.
My personal creative process starts with, entering the studio space and experimenting and trying to, figure out what type of artist I am, and it's a great space to do that.
Emerging digital practice. Boy, I kind of think that's one of the coolest things that has happened. As we tore into building new painting studios, the found space of abandoned space allowed a program that the students started to really get interested in. Out of it, I think is probably one of the best things that's happened. It's just like the Innovation Center. And both of these things pull students from across the whole campus.
There are three choices in life. You can give in, you can give up, or you can give it all you've got. And I give everything I do, everything I've got, and I never, never, never give up.
Well, Trish is an elegant lady with a very strong mind. Trish's latest opportunity is her Star Catchers program.
And a Star Catcher is really a value-added proposition. The theater is the instrument to deliver the end goal, which are those values.
I believe that a great education has two core components. One is it has to be absolutely magical of an experience and capture kids' curiosity and imagination. And then secondly, that it has to be rooted in character and values. And Trish's Starcatcher program is such a natural alignment for that.
The Starcatcher program has allowed us to give our students the opportunity to have a big theater experience for the first time. But I think that's only one piece of it. The learning that takes place before and after with our students is so incredible.
You've asked me what is the one word I would use to describe the Starcatcher experience. The word that comes to my mind is magic. It is magic to see those children be so enthusiastic and committed, and see the little ones talk about perseverance and collaboration and asking how to spell them and writing them down. It's about it's the sparkle in everybody's eye that participates. So there's a little bit of magic, and I believe in magic.
It's about the idea and the implementation of that idea that is really what makes a difference and the most important aspect of their work.
Our joy in being engaged in our community is that I think that's what we're here to do. And it's a gift to be able to help move a community forward. And this is who we are.
Ralph and Trish, you've shown us that it's about the idea, not about you. And we know you're not finished yet. Your dedication, talents, and artistic vision have left an indelible mark on the University of Denver. Every day, you inspire our students to be the best version of themselves by offering them an extraordinary space to perfect their artistic craft, beautiful buildings, and generous scholarship support. On behalf of the University of Denver, thank you for your commitment to helping our students thrive. I mean, they're remarkable, right? They're remarkable. So please come up and receive a small token of our amazing gratitude to Ralph and Trish.
And the best picture is you need to know that Ralph has no idea what I'm going to say tonight. Are you ready? Okay. I'd like to begin by thanking DU for the honor that Ralph and I enjoy as receiving the Founders Medal. And to thank the DU staff for making tonight a celebration and not just an award ceremony. And to DU for giving us the honor to share the stage with Dr. Rice, a person of character and a presence, and a person whom we admire greatly. And thanks to our family and our friends for being here to celebrate with us tonight. When you celebrate with family and friends, you celebrate twice. Sorry, this is rather heavy. Leading up to our receipt of the Founders Medal, there were a number of interviews with Ralph and me and other members with whom we have worked in the business and in the general community. We very much appreciate these efforts by DU, which provided us the opportunity to reflect on a number of important happenings in our lives. The opportunity to reflect on our individual personal and professional successes and our various commitments to the community. To reflect on our founding and our operating Meridian retirement communities that enabled us to blend our unique brand of intellect, creativity, and passion to make things happen by proving to seniors on a daily basis that while you have to grow old, you don't have to be old. And very importantly, this process allowed us to reflect on our contribution to people, to places, and programs at DU. However, what stood out for me amongst this entire process was one quote of Ralph's in the video. When Ralph was asked the question, "How do you become a painter?" and he answered, "You pick up a brush." To me, Ralph is speaking about courage, he's speaking about grit, and perhaps most importantly, he raises the challenge to explore the unknown or abandoned spaces and make them found spaces in ourselves and in our choices. But there's something else about Ralph's statement that proved instructive to me about our gifts to DU that I probably would have missed if I did not become a painter's wife. You see, before I became a painter's wife, if Ralph had told me the statement about you pick up a brush and that's how you paint, my response would be, great, let me see your paintings. Now, however, as a painter's wife, I know there's a lot more that goes into having a successful painting. Decisions like, what do I paint? What color palette should I use? Because that will determine whether it's a warm or a cool painting. What is the weight of paper that I will choose? Because that decides how quickly the paint will absorb on the paper, and on and on. It occurred to me that this too can happen to gifts to a great university like DU. Acknowledging the end product, a needed building, scholarships, in contributing to a program. But in my opinion, stopping there, you miss the best part. That behind the gifts to DU, what deserves not to be missed is the undeniable force of Ralph's talents and abilities as a visionary, as an entrepreneur, and a businessman, which they are not necessarily the same, as an architect, as an urban designer, as a city planner, and as a 12-year-old boy growing up in a small town. When he noticed he couldn't spell, he didn't complain, and he didn't blame the school or the teachers or himself. Instead, he just decided to become an architect. It's for these reasons that I invite you to see that each building, program, or scholarship that we contributed to DU is a reflection of Ralph's conceptualizing and actualizing ideas and their successful implementation. Now, we're often heard to say that it's about the idea and its successful implementation, not about us. But there is a part that is about us and about DU. What I'm referring to is captured by the artist Robert Henri, who spoke about the choice that when others close the book, one can choose to see that there are still more pages. I see this as the challenge and the opportunity to Ralph and I as we continue in the future in businesses and in community involvement, and for DU to continue to grow as a great and vibrant university. On behalf of Ralph and myself, thank you for celebrating with us tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome DU alumna Jessica Davidson.
It is with such a full heart and immense gratitude that I walked back onto the DU campus this week, a place where, to give an example, I was surprised by a welcome back brunch by people that I met 4 years ago as friends, and today I call family. I was yet again reminded, within minutes of arriving to DU, that this is a place I will forever call home. During my time at DU, I thought often about what it means to pioneer something new. We often think of history's pioneers as resilient, brave, carving new paths, but I don't think we often reflect about the challenges that pioneers inherently must face to exhibit such resiliency. It's our mascot, it's a spirit, it's a verb, to pioneer. Whether it's pioneering the American West or pioneering your way across the University of Denver graduation stage, pioneering is by nature difficult and presents many trials and tribulations along the way. I had an incredible experience at DU. The community I created, the academic and professional experiences I had were more than I could ever ask for. And as last year's student government and student body vice president, I celebrated the wonderful experiences that I and so many other students had the opportunity to have. However, I was also tasked with representing students who faced extreme struggle. Barriers of race, gender, sexual orientation, class, and personal circumstances make it really difficult for many students to succeed, not only at the University of Denver, but on campuses across our great nation. So I decided to do what DU instilled in me when faced with this. Instead of accepting the status quo, I fought for change. I made sure the undergraduate student government was an organization that would stand up every single day for disenfranchised students and champion their voice. This was not only the building block of my personal view of public service, but to me, it embodied the pioneer spirit. To look at our peers in the midst of struggle and tell them that we would fight with them and for them. For my work in standing up for survivors of sexual assault at DU, in April of 2016, the Obama White House named me, among 9 other students across the United States, in It's On Us White House Champion of Change. Thank you. Thank you. I then went on to work in that same White House that had encouraged my efforts as part of the final class of interns in the White House under President Obama. DU prides itself on being a private university dedicated to the public good. And since I graduated and went straight to the White House, I've been thinking about what that means a lot. One of the best measures of this is the public servants that a private university dedicated to the public good creates. And so, as an aspiring young public servant myself, I look often to the examples of resilient leaders who have broken glass ceilings and pioneered through difficulty. The example that they've set for young people like myself is what made me the leader that I am today, and that got me to the White House immediately after college graduation. Inspired by the leaders that have come before me, I now plan to dedicate my own career to fighting for policy and institutions that improve the lives of disenfranchised Americans. I can think of no better example of this pioneering spirit in public service than the incredible alumna that we are here to honor tonight. She grew up in segregated Birmingham, Alabama, known for her brilliance as a piano player and a student. After a successful career in academia and on the National Security Council in the first Bush White House, she then went on to not only become the first woman to ever serve as the National Security Advisor to the President of the United States, George W. Bush, but also the first woman of color to ever serve as the Secretary of State. Beyond these incredible accomplishments and the storied career that helped her become one of the most influential women in global politics, she has brought renewed attention and awe to how multifaceted and dynamic the women that lead at the highest levels of our government are. And she has remained impressively graceful and steady all the while. I spoke to some of her former colleagues at the Department of State, and Ambassador Hill tonight, I think, put it the best. Even when there were many things to be mad about in government and in politics, she never got mad. I look up to her and her example of a pioneering spirit immensely. I could not be more honored to celebrate the awarding of the International Achievement Medal to a dedicated public servant, a personal hero of mine, and someone who represents the very best of what it means to be a pioneer. Please join me in turning your attention to the following video to celebrate tonight's awardee, former Secretary of State, Dr. Condoleezza Rice.
Good evening and welcome to the Founders Gala. I'm pleased to send greetings as you honor one of my dearest friends and closest counselors, Condoleezza Rice.
Hi, I'm Condoleezza Rice. I'm currently a professor at Stanford University. I'm the former U.S. Secretary of State, and I'm a University of Denver alum. I was fortunate to be an undergraduate at the University of Denver at a very young age, and I wanted to be a piano major. And I majored in piano for a couple of years before I found my true passion in international politics.
I worked with Secretary Rice for some 4 years during the second term of the Bush administration. One of the best things about working with Secretary Rice, she was kind of unflappable. I don't think there was any problem she handled. Even some of the worst problems, she would have said, well, that's too hard.
Even in trying times, all her actions demonstrated an unshakable belief in a world that upholds the dignity and worth of every person. Secretary Rice worked tirelessly to defend democratic values, advance American interests, and pave the way for a more peaceful world. She was bold, patient, and optimistic.
I think when you're Secretary of State, you have to have kind of a good compass. You have to know the direction you're going in, even though you may take some twists and turns. And so I think her experience at the University of Denver and working with Joseph Corbell, I think established a kind of vision, established a kind of approach to the world's problems.
The most important thing that I can say to students who may want to have a career in international politics is first find what it is you love to do. Find what it is that makes you get up in the morning and say, I want to do that. In other words, find something that you're passionate about. And then when you find it, work really, really hard at it. Find mentors and role models who will help advocate for your career and help you to learn the ropes. We have this conceit that your role models have to look like you. Had I been waiting for a black female Soviet specialist role model, I'd still be waiting. Your first job is going to be your first job. It's not going to be your entire career for the rest of your life. Life takes funny turns.
I don't think there's a graduate of Corbell. Frankly speaking, I don't think there's a graduate of any international studies program in the United States, of which there are many, who is more deserving of this award than Condoleezza Rice.
Lauren, I thank you all for recognizing Condi with this important and well-deserved honor. And we congratulate our pal as she accepts it.
Condi, we're delighted to welcome you home to your alma mater and to honor you for your service to our country and our world. Your leadership and global impact exemplify the university's values. And if he were here today, I'm sure Joseph Corbell would share our admiration of how you transformed your extraordinary determination and talent to rise to the highest levels of international politics. You inspire all of us to work for a better, more peaceful world.
So, Condi, we are so proud of you and thank you. We are so honored to have you come to the stage and accept our first inaugural international medal.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, let me thank Jess for that wonderful introduction. I'm so touched by your story, and keep after it. You're going to go back to the White House one day, and even more senior position. I always tell people, be good to your interns. You never know what might happen. I was an intern at the State Department, so go back. I would like to thank the Nagels for everything that you do for this university, for this city, for the world. You exemplify that wonderful spirit of America that believes that the greatest reed, the greatest pillar of democracy is when citizens take responsibility for one another, because democracy is only as strong as its weakest link. And you are two people who are determined that there aren't going to be any weak links. So thank you very much, and I'm honored to share this evening with you. I'd like to thank Rebecca Chopp and her wonderful administration for this honor and for what you're doing for my great university. My love of this university is unbounded, and it was great to see Dan Ritchie, who I don't know how much you know of what he did to really bring this university back almost from the dead. Dan, thank you very much. And now I want to tell you that it's not a figure of speech to say that I would not be where I am today without the University of Denver, quite literally. In fact, the University of Denver was first my home when I was 6 years old, one summer. The summers of 6 years old, 7 years old, 9 years old, and 10 years old, I came to the University of Denver with my parents. They were, in a sense, refugees from an Alabama that would not allow them to do graduate work at the University of Alabama because of segregation. And so my father found that the University of Denver had a program in something called Student Personnel Administration. He was a high school guidance counselor, he'd been a football coach, and he desperately wanted to go into college work because he loved young people. And so he and my mother and I loaded up the car and we made our way west to the University of Denver, where he studied Student Personnel Administration and she studied to qualify to be a music teacher. She was a fine musician, a school teacher, but she needed to certify in music, and that's what they did. And then there was the question of what to do with little Condoleezza. We tried day camp, didn't work, I hated horses. And so we were walking past the old DU Arena one day, and I said, I want to be a figure skater. It was high-priced childcare, but it was childcare, and that's how I started skating. We did that every summer, and then finally, my father said, you know, I'm never going to finish just going 1 year at a time. And so this time, he took a leave of absence, and we came to the University of Denver for a year. And during that year, while he finished his degree and my mother worked on hers, I went to school at St. Mary's Academy, and after a year, a chancellor named Maurice Mitchell had met my father because his daughter, Debbie, was also a skater. Skating was good to us. Dr. Mitchell said to my father, can I entice you to come to the University of Denver? And we never looked back. We moved to Denver. My dad was a fixture of this university in those days. He brought students from all over the country because he wanted Denver to have a diverse student body. He had his kids, some of them are here tonight, and he would bring them here, and he believed the University of Denver would give them opportunities they otherwise would not see. Kids that he had taught at the University of Alabama, he brought them here to go to college at Denver. My mom worked for a while as an admissions officer. Later on, she would get a graduate degree from the Graduate School of International Studies in the teaching of international relations. So you see, Denver is very deep in our family, very much responsible for who I've become. But nothing measures up to what Denver did for me in taking this failed piano major and showing her a different horizon. I literally came here to be a piano major at the Lamont School of Music. But after a summer, at the end of my sophomore year at the Aspen Music Festival School, meeting 12-year-olds who could play from sight, what it had taken me all the year to learn, and I was 17, I thought I'm going to end up playing in one of those department stores while people shop. I needed a new passion, and I needed one fast. Fortunately, I wandered into a course in international politics taught by Joseph Corbell, Madeleine Albright's father and the man for whom the Corbell School is named. And he showed me a world that I didn't even know existed, a world of Russia and Eastern Europe and diplomacy and things international. And suddenly I knew what I wanted to do. I'd found my passion. And then I went off and I did my master's degree, and I came back and I tried to find a job and I couldn't, and I was wandering the halls one day of the Graduate School of International Studies, and I ran into Dr. Corbell, and he said, "Why don't you just take some courses?" And I said, "Okay." And the next thing I knew, I was studying for a PhD. The next thing I knew, I had a PhD. And then I was hired at Stanford University as a faculty member, and something that Dr. Corbell had said in my very first graduate class came back to me. He said, "You'd make a fine professor." He saw something in me that I never even saw in myself. That's what great universities do. They're transformative, not necessarily because of the courses you take or even the work that you do. They're not necessarily transformative because you get a chance to kind of get to know who you are in those days. They're transformative because you get to know a self that you might otherwise never have known. They raise your horizons. They give you a new perspective. They make you see the world not as it is, but the world as it should be, and your place in it. That is what the University of Denver is doing today for so many fine young people. I was with some of them today at the Corbell School. I've been with others, and they are terrific. They're going to change the course of human history. But first, they're going to learn what they can do. They're going to learn what's possible for them. That's the transformative power of education. And I want to say to each and every one of you who's here tonight, thank you for what you do to make that transformative power of education available to students. Rebecca said it best. Universities cannot thrive and survive without friends. Yes, alumni and faculty and students and trustees and all of those who are a part of the university. But the friends of the university, those who just believe in its mission, those who just believe in its transformative power, that's what makes a great university. And I'm so glad that my university has those friends. Thank you very much.
Ralph and Trish, can I ask you guys to come up as well, please? Well, as you witnessed tonight, the University of Denver proudly represents graduates and cherished friends who dream, accomplish, and make our world so much better. Our promise to you is that we will continue to do that each and every day. And we hope that you, in return, promise to help us advance our mission, support our students and faculty, and ensure that our values endure. Thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for honoring these incredible citizens, and have a wonderful night. Thank you.